Students, now we are going to discuss one of the important part of third module, that is interpersonal behavior, that is under the module of dynamism in group behavior. Interpersonal behavior, since it is one of the important issues of organization behavior, now try to understand exactly when you communicate interpersonally, what way you just communicate, what kind of business we transact, and what are the forms of the interpersonal behavior, what way you can improve the interpersonal behavior. These are all the things we will discuss to this particular part. Some techniques also we will discuss, as you have seen, that's what exactly meaning of interpersonal behavior, types of interpersonal behavior, challenges of interpersonal behavior, techniques to develop interpersonal skill, Zohri window. That is also one of the techniques basically through which we will be knowing basically myself and others. It's a science, students. It's very fantastic context of developing man-to-man relationship, understanding the content, behavior of others. Starting from this particular part, what way we have defined interpersonal behavior? That is the nature of interaction amongst individuals, superiors and subordinates. What kind of transactions are there basically? What level of interaction? All are equal important people. In your organizations also, junior, senior, your peer colleagues, all are equal. Now thing is that what kind of relationship we are maintaining. And I think that improves the professional skill also, defined by some good people, good researcher, Agile 1967 and Harji 2011. Interpersonal behavior refers to the way individuals interact, communicate and influence each other in social setting, encompassing verbal and non-verbal communication, emotion and social skills. That means you must be knowing exactly what kind of emotional skill we are transacting, what kind of emotional skill I have. Interpersonal behavior involves the dynamic process of exchanging message and emotion between individuals and shaping relationship and social experience. Haji 2011. So these are all the, in a nutshell you can say, that is the exchanging ideas, skills and your behavior, all these things come under interpersonal behavior. Types of interpersonal behavior, there are 9 different types of interpersonal behavior: aggressive behavior, empathic behavior, cooperative behavior, passive behavior, manipulative behavior, conflict resolution behavior, assertive behavior, passive aggressive behavior, supportive behavior. At least you must try to understand which type of behavior is very important as far as interpersonal behavior is concerned. Like as aggressive behavior, you must be knowing exactly what the aggressive behavior exactly. Perhaps you are not knowing, sometimes you are communicating, but you are not knowing exactly it's aggressive behavior, and that may lead some kind of problems in your personality, but you are not knowing. But that's why I am telling you, communication is one of the important part of interpersonal behavior. So direct narratives, you see the great narrative, dominating, forceful and hostile approach to interaction, often disregarding others' feelings. Dominating attitude, forceful, hostile approach is very common. I think you can find everywhere. Some of people, they want to show their authority and they want to show their power. What is it basically that creates? That means we are not understanding the feelings of others. Always we try to dominate others. I am such a big man, I am doing work this way, and we are not listening others. Since it is the interpersonal, you need to listen others also. Passive behavior, avoiding conflict, staying silent and allowing others to take control. Passive behavior, that means you just see You don't use that kind of statement which can create some kind of conflict, and you just stay silent, you listen more. That may be the important part of passive behavior. Assertive behavior, that means you just assert, your assertion is very confident. Whenever you are express something with other people, you are very confident, you are very clear about your thought. So this is also big things which shows your positive personality. Empathic behavior, you just try to understand the emotion of others. This is very important, empathic behavior. We are not speaking more, but we are listening more. Manipulative behavior, using indirect, deceptive techniques to influence others for personal gain. This happen oftenly. I think politicians and different other group of people, I think some managers also, sometimes they are doing this kind of practices, manipulative behavior. They use some kind of deceptive techniques which is not real, create some kind of pressure to create some kind of influence on others. Now see passive aggressive behavior. This is the combination of passive and aggressive behavior. Indirect resistance, hostility, often through avoidance. This is very important. Passive and aggressive, you just mix both the things. This is also one kind of indirect resistance, hostility is possible some cases. Cooperative behavior, working collaboratively with others to achieve mutual goals. Cooperative behavior, working collaboratively. I think this is the behavior, or normally we can see those are the people of extrovert basically, they are using this kind of practices. Conflict resolution behavior, I think those who are resolving some kind of conflict through dialogue. This much important, conflict resolution behavior, addressing and resolving disputes effectively through dialogue is very important. Supportive behavior, this is also one of the, that means your behavior is like that you want to support somebody. So this is also one of the main part of the, I think several types of behavior pattern you can see. Now see the challenges of interpersonal behavior. Suppose you want to communicate something, but its interpretation creates some other things. So poor communication may be one of the important part, poor communication. Cultural and language barrier is also one of the important things. Communication barrier, I think, is a very fundamental things. I think majority of the communicators, speaker, orator or managers, they are in crisis of communication. That differs basically, what way you can communicate, like as finance people, HR people, marketing people, another group of people, what do they, communicate, and their assertion may be different. Like as HR people, they must be soft when they communicate with other people, finance people to the point, and marketing people, of course, you need to create some kind of stimuli in the mind of the people, accounting people to the point. I think that communication barrier may be, I think almost all of people are facing. Cultural and language barrier is very important things. I think that like as different types of culture, having the different types of phonetics, different types of context are there basically, that cases also create some kind of problems. You can't communicate the same way what you are communicating in some other parts of the world. So trust issues is very important things in communication process, very important part, trust issues basically. What is it exactly, trust issues in interpersonal behavior? That means sometimes you are communicating with the people in good faith. That means this is, its interpretation is not something else. And we must have this kind of relationship. And resistance to feedback is very important. People are not ready to give feedback. This is also very important part. I think oftenly we saw that in some organizations they are in crisis, and the emotional control issues is very important at the time of accounting. Say for example, accounting people, sometimes they are very emotional. That means you may lose something at the time of interpersonal behavior. Lack of empathy. Some cases I think HR people, they are lacking empathy. They are not understanding the problem of employees. Conflict and disagreement is also one of the challenges basically, there is always conflict among the different group of people, and disagreement is very common. Lack of confidence or assertiveness we are not having proper confidence basically at the time of communications. We are not knowing exactly which word we need to give more stress. These are all the sum of challenge basically, Techniques to develop interpersonal skills. There are two different techniques are basically, Zohri-Endo and the transactional analysis. And I think this lecture we will discuss the Zohri-Endo, but transactional analysis we have one more lecture basically, that I think just next lecture we will discuss the transactional analysis. All of the things basically, to understand exactly what way you can develop the interpersonal communication. Let us see the Zohri-Endo. It is one of the Joseph Loft and Harry Ingham in 1955, that particular person developed Zohri-Endo. Zohri means what basically? That is the first name of the people, those who have innovated this particular model basically, is useful for observing how humans understand themselves as a part of the communication process. Now see what way you can understand what is the communication process. Zohri-Endo is very helpful. Zohri-Endo is one of way to look at the dynamics of self-awareness which relates to human behavior, feelings and motives. According to the model, there are two dimensions for understanding the self, the aspect of person's behavior and styles that are known to him, her. Those aspects of this behavior, his behavior, known to those with whom he, she interact. There are two different things basically, him, herself, me and others, exactly. To understand the me and others is the basic part of the Zohri-Endo. Now what exactly it is basically, known to self, it represents a person's attitude, beliefs, skills and experience in relation to others from essentially four perspectives called windows or quadrants. Zohri-Endo, that is adapted from Loft 1969. As I told, it is the techniques of understanding self and others. Techniques to self and known to others. I think it is the open self. It is the first quadrant. Known to others, but you are unknown to selves. You don't know yourself, but you know others. Blind self. And C quadrants, known to selves, unknown to others. You know yourself, but you don't know others. And D quadrants is D cell is very important. You are not knowing yourself, you are not knowing others also. We need the clear demarcation on that particular point. It represents a person's attitude, belief and skills, experience in relation to others from essentially four perspectives. Now see, open self means what? That is one of the great context. That means you know others, you know also self. Information that is known to both the individual and others. This includes behavior, skill, attitudes and feelings that are openly shared. This is characterized by the free and open exchange of information between a person's own self and others. Example, your colleagues know you are good at teamwork and acknowledge to it. This is the great examples of open self. It is very important to understand basically, because what I am communicating basically other people are realizing this thing or not. And best example is that one of the statement, your colleague know you are good at teamwork, but you acknowledge it too. That means you are understanding both. Our others people are knowing I am a good administrator and accordingly I just acknowledge them. Blind self is the second quadrant of what I said, that Zohri-Endo, information known to others but not known to himself. I think that this is very important things. These are traits, habits, behavior that others see in us but we are unaware. Others may notice you are interrupt conversation often but you don't realize it. I think students, you can understand exactly what is the blind self. That means other people are understanding your communication but you are not understanding. You are not realizing this. Then third, close hidden self, information known to oneself but not revealed to others. You know but other people are not knowing information. You may have a fear of failure but never express it to your peers. Dark unknown self, information that is unknown to both the individual and others. This is very dangerous. This may include untapped potential, subconscious thoughts or hidden talents that have yet to be discovered. A person, one of the great example, one person may have a hidden leadership, still they have not recognized or demonstrated. That means you don't know, other people don't know. That means you have the strong leadership, but you don't know. And even other people are also not knowing. So these are the fourth quadrant basically, Now see, understanding self and others. The moment you are communicating, students, what you are communicating basically. It is one of the great part of interpersonal communication, communication science. What you are communicating. But other people, they are equally realize your communication or not. They are realize your thoughts, belief or emotion or not. Like as you are giving some kind of statement, some kind of things to the people, and you have used some kind of emotion in the statement. But other people realize this thing or not. Whether both the people realize or not, you are realizing or not. All the things matters basically. So this is very important part in solving some kind of problems in organizations. I think two different things are there basically, Zohori-Indo and the transaction analysis. As I told, that transaction analysis we will discuss basically in the next slides, next presentation. That will be the broad lecture basically, whereas we will have complete understanding what we transact basically, what is the life position of different group of people, those who are involved in the communication process. Now, students try to understand what ways to different types of interpersonal behavior influence group dynamics. Do you believe that quadrant of Zohori-Indo's, is it effect on group dynamism? I think you must be knowing. Is it effect on group dynamism or not? I think we must do some kind of understanding for that. Group dynamism, what basically, Group dynamism is something like that, what kind of understanding among the group and what way group access some of new type of information from environment, whether groups are ready to accept any kind of change or not, groups are resilient or not, groups are different from other groups or not. These are all very important part, group dynamism. The interpersonal behavior, normally that is effect on group dynamism also. The group means what? Person make a group. So person to person behavior, ultimately that affect on group dynamism. You can see what are the challenges commonly associated with effective interpersonal behavior. I think what are the common challenges as I discuss different type of people. You just imagine this way basically, different parts of the world we are communicating in different way as far as their communication is concerned, as far as their understanding is concerned, their exchanging of their values and some knowledge is concerned. You can find the wide variation in different parts of the world. So suppose you are working in an MNC, so your cases in personal behavior is very important. You are in the same cultural group, you may not face any kind of problem. Intercultural group, you may have some kind of problem. International group, you may have some kind of problem. And least one of the two dimensions of self-awareness described in Zohori-Indo, two dimensions of self-awareness, I think understanding self, what you are communicating, and understanding by others. I think blind self, this way you can understand all these things. How can Zohori-Indo model apply to enhance communication relationship? This is very important. I think in management, entire management, whether it is if you deal the function of management, that is planning to controlling. So every cases directing, every cases communication has a great role. The way of communication, nature of communication, the pattern of communication, emotions or confidence in communications, all the things are very important. So in this lecture basically we have covered lot of things basically, especially interpersonal communication, what way you can improve basically different mechanism also. Now some of preferences, some of books is very important. I think that students, it's not important things that you have listened this particular lecture and you are clear all kind of things, but you need to further study also. You just brainstorm the lecture, whatever I have discussed in the particular slides. It's not enough unless you see the books. Some of reference books are there basically, then you can see some of groups of good books of Indian author and foreign author of communication. Zori Endo you can study separately, and Carson 2017 interpersonal behavior, history practice of personality theory, all these things that will help you basically. What is very important, you need to develop the skill for interpersonal communication. If you are not having skill and you are not knowing basically what kind of emotions are required at the time of communication, you may not be perfect, you may not enjoy about the communication. So these are all the things I have narrated somehow basically. Now see, it is up to you, realize all particular points, whatever, if you have critical some kind of things, you can go through the books. This way you can resolve your problems. So thank you very much.